Semester B, Week 3. A parody of the traditional model of teaching voice leading might go something like this. When a voice can stay put, let it. Avoid consecutive and parallel voices, resolve the seventh of a chord down by step, avoid large registral changes and awkward intervals. These common sense rules, which have stood the test of time, only tell part of the story. Schillinger's rational approach to harmonic functions, a group of conjugated functions as he puts it, is of seminal importance and permeates the entire system. Once again, his thinking begins with cyclical permutational procedures first applied to rhythm. Smooth voice leading, it turns out, is often the result of following cyclical rotation of the chord functions. Imagine the chord functions of a triad, root, third, fifth, arranged around the circumference of a clock face. You can refer to the diagrams in the course text for this week. A voice in a chord progression might follow a clockwise or an anti-clockwise journey as it moves from one chord to the next. So, if it were following a clockwise journey, the root in the bass voice of the first chord might become the third of the chord in the same voice of the following chord. An anti-clockwise journey would follow the opposite course. The root in the bass voice of the first chord would become the fifth in the same voice of the following chord. In its simplest form, this procedure applied to one solitary triad generates all the various spacings and all the intonal inversions of the chord. Let's play it. Here's a triad in root position. Reading down from the top of the chord, we've got 5, 3 and 1. If the root, the one function of that triad, becomes the third of the next arrangement, then we get what's commonly called the first inversion, 3, 5, 1. And if I continue the clockwise transformation, the third of that chord will become the fifth of the next inversion, and so on. Look carefully at pages 376 to 380. Here, Schillinger shows how the spacings of a triad and its transformations, that is the voice leading from one chord to the next, and the root progressions can be coordinated. When one begins to explore all the other transformations from a rational basis, vast possibilities are revealed. Having a grasp on the various forms is useful, not for making smooth pastiche 18th century choral settings, but in being able to create a textural variation of one harmonic progression and in creating scores of many strata, each with its own individual voice leading behaviour. So voice leading is directly involved in the study of orchestration arrangement. Of particular interest is a form of voice leading in which one chord function remains constant. For example, on page 381, the consequence of keeping the third of the chord constant to one voice is to produce a kind of expanding and contracting texture as the chords alternate between open and closed positions. Harmonic voices that maintain constant functions or feature particular relationships, such as the alternation between two particular functions, are central to various widely dispersed sections of the system. For instance, hybrid harmony, in which a bass voice remains constant while the upper parts undergo voice leading transformations. You can see that on page 478. Or, for example, when controlling the harmonic tension in a melody that's to be harmonized, page 625. In the field of improvisation and performance, the understanding of how voices or even whole series of improvised phrases might be composed around an axis of melody, which is based on a chord function, is further evidence of the importance of this subject. You can read about that on page 656. As we shall see this week, voice leading has great importance in the field of chromatic harmony, which is actually driven by voice leading principles. See page 495 to 551. This harmonic type yields fascinating progressions of rich, mysterious harmony. While this area may seem a bit overwhelming at first, it's worth bearing in mind that, as with so much of the system, these procedures are to be grasped and then used as one needs them. A grasp of the essential concepts presented here will only enrich the spontaneous and imaginative practice of composing.